Madam Secretary, this is Senate Judiciary Committee is now in session. Would you take the roll, please?
Senator Harshberger is present. Senator Kyle is present. Senator Lamar, Senator Roberts, Senator Rose. Senator Roberts is present. Senator Rose. Senator Stevens is present. Senator Taylor is present. Senator White is present. Chairman Gardenhire is present. Chairman, you have 8 members present.
Item number 13, we're going to hear from Chairman Massey on Senate Bill 1493. There is an amendment that makes the bill. You are now recognized.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, Committee. This bill is as amended, which makes the bill. It is similar but different with Chairman Yeager's artificial intelligence bill. Basically, as we're seeing, artificial intelligence answers questions, gives advice, and increasingly presents himself in a way that feels personal, even human. That creates enormous opportunity, but also risk if left unchecked. Vulnerable adults and children have been drawn into conversations with the chat box that appear to be a friend, therapist, or companion. This can isolate individuals and encourage dangerous behaviors, and they tend to be addictive, and they've used tactics like love bombing and fostering fake emotional connections, drawing lonely users and replacing real human connection. This legislation is based on a simple principle. When technology steps into the roles that influence human decisions, especially in moments of vulnerability, there needs to be basic rules in place. So this bill targets 4 clear and serious harms. Basically, first, it prohibits an entity to knowingly operate an AI system and the key word there is knowingly operate, that will encourage or assist or support suicide, self-harm, or criminal homicide. It would be reasonably likely to result, it has to be reasonably likely to result in imminent harm. The imminent is the other key word. Our law already recognizes that aiding and promoting these acts is not protected conduct. This bill makes clear that the same standard applies when the influence comes from an artificial system. Second, it prevents AI from impersonating licensed mental health and healthcare professionals. Our citizens deserve to know whether they are receiving advice from a qualified human being or machine. Third, it addresses fraud and exploitation by prohibiting AI systems from soliciting sensitive personal and financial information, especially of our vulnerable seniors. Fourth, and those all will fall under the criminal Class A felony. And then fourth, if it engages users in contexts that involve sexually explicit conduct, the owner-operator must establish safeguards and protection to prevent interactions with a minor or that they reasonably should know to be a minor, and that would be a civil penalty. The bill requires transparency, and that's what I think we really need with our AI. If you're interfacing with an AI system, you should be clearly informed of that fact, and this spells out the notification requirements. It does not restrict innovation. It narrowly focuses on knowing and intentional misconduct and deception. In new ways, this is not new territory. We already regulate doctors, lawyers, financial advisors, and others when the public trust is at stake. This bill simply ensures that when AI systems occupy similar spaces of trust, they are held to comparable standards. And one of the reasons, from the earlier question, this is protecting Tennesseans at a point where technology meets human vulnerability when someone is in crisis seeking help. And there are cases around the country that people have, as Chairman Yeager mentioned, but there are cases where people have been committing suicide based on this, and that should be criminal.
Thank you. The Chair makes a motion on Senate Bill 1492. Is there a second on the bill by Chairman White? You have heard the amendment 16379 by Senator Massey makes the bill. Let's get the amendment on the bill. Chair moves the amendment. Is there a second? Second by Chairman White. All in favor of the amendment being placed on the bill, say aye. Opposed, nays. Ayes have it. You have heard a description of the bill as amended. Is there any comments or questions from our panel? I see none to my right. Senator Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess my question is on the portion of the bill where it establishes a Class A felony for persons or entities that knowingly use artificial intelligence to encourage suicide or criminal homicide or to impersonate a licensed healthcare professional or solicit sensitive financial information. Could the artificial intelligence company, the data center itself, be in violation of this, where artificial intelligence actually communicate, where there may not be another person on the other side communicating, but the data center itself? Would these criminal provisions apply to them as well?
Senator Massey.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, Senator Taylor. That's why we said a person or entity, because there oftentimes it's not one person that is there that's actually putting the information into the data system. It's made up with multiple developers, and so the entity ultimately is responsible for putting those guardrails in place, that if certain things are going with questions on, well, how do you how do you go buy a gun so this doesn't show up on the background check? How do you, what kind of bullets really work the best? Where do you need to aim and this is an actual case that it showed that showed them exactly how to do it. Guardrails, and we've talked to several of the big providers. We've worked with attorneys here with the state to kind of get input on this piece of legislation. I will be transparent that I have asked the House sponsor, since this was already on here, that Part 3, where it talks about impersonating the health professional, we actually passed that bill, Senator Wally's bill, and so I've asked the House member to amend that Section 3 out, unless you all would like to do a verbal amendment and take that out, because that's already gone to the governor's office for signature. So that is duplicate. The House sponsor just got this to me about it yesterday, I believe. It was pretty quick.
Senator Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So in the case of an entity, who would be criminally responsible in the case of an entity?
Chairman Massey.
The company.
Follow up.
Is there any individual in the company that could be criminally liable, or
Sir, if you will leave the room, it would be very much appreciated, and turn your phone off and you come back in. Thank you, Senator Taylor. Sorry to have that interruption. Go ahead.
Oh, that's all right. I appreciate it. Is there any one individual, would anybody in the company be criminally liable on behalf of the entity?
You're recognized.
Thank you, Chairman, and you're asking a non-attorney, but it's my understanding through working with the folks that helped us with this bill that, I would believe that it would be maybe the chief executive officer, or, they would, usually, I guess, when, of course, you see a lot of times when lawsuits are filed or charges are made, sometimes they're to multiple people. So I guess they would have to decide who was really ultimately in charge. I do believe in my conversations with a lot of the bigger companies, that they're working to put guardrails in place because they understand what's going on. I think where you're going to find some problems potentially is some of the smaller companies that have not quite worked to that sophistication to put things in place. But we don't want to stifle innovation. We think, there is much good that comes out of artificial intelligence, but we cannot have any entity that is telling our folks how to commit suicide or how to kill somebody else. And to me, that's unacceptable, and I think we've got to make a statement as much as anything.
Senator Taylor, follow up.
If we could go out of session where I could ask Ms. Insonia a question.
Sure.
Yeah.
Let's go out of session and hear from legal as a question from Senator Taylor.
Thank you. You heard the question, and I know that corporations can be criminally liable, but I just would like to know if there's any impact for any executives of a company that's found criminally liable for violating of this bill if it were to go into law.
Elizabeth and Sonia Legal Services. There is a statute, it's Section 3911405, that lays out individual liability for corporate conduct, and it states a person is criminally liable for conduct constituting an offense that the person performs or causes to be performed in the name of or on behalf of a corporation to the same extent as if the conduct were performed in the person's own name or behalf.
Senator Taylor.
So does that mean then if a data center was found guilty of not having proper guardrails in place, that the company executives could be criminally responsible?
My reading of that is that if the person performed or caused to be performed that prohibited act on behalf of the company, then they could be held responsible for the liability of the company.
Follow up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any other questions for the spot?
If this company is not located in Tennessee, then what impact does this law have? Thank you.
That's a good question. I'd have to do some research on that. I mean, arguably, if their program is operating in Tennessee, the offense can occur in Tennessee. But as far as corporate liability of people who aren't within the state, I'd have to do some research on that.
To the sponsor.
Okay. Any other questions for our legal? I see none. We'll go back into session. Senator Roberts, you have a question for the sponsor.
So there are a lot of things that we've made illegal that continue to occur, and I think about the crimes against the elderly, where we've passed laws to say, for example, that you can't fraudulently fleece them over the phone, and of course nobody ever gets arrested for that because those call centers are always on foreign lands. So I'm very much in favor of this, but I'm just wondering practically, how is it going to make any difference?
Mr. Mason.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, Senator Roberts. I do believe that by putting this in place, it will guarantee that the majority, the good actors, will put the parameters in place because they realize we're serious about protecting our Tennesseans. And, you know, I mean, if somebody comes from another state and kills somebody in Tennessee, but they don't live here, if we can identify who did it, they still can be charged. I think it's where we've got these massive texters and, you know, scammers that are in foreign countries that we never can totally identify who they are, that we can't get our hands on them. But I think if they're an American company, I think, and we know who did it, because I think there's always the trail, because anything on the internet never dies. But I believe that this is an important statement for us to do, to say we're protecting our Tennesseans.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The concern I have is that, look, no one that runs these data companies want their computers to be used to exploit kids or to teach people how to commit criminal acts or commit suicide or commit homicides. And to hold them criminally responsible for these machines, I mean, that are just, I mean, they're growing at and learning at literally lightning speed, and to expect them to keep guardrails at all times on it, I think and then forcing them through a criminal penalty to do that is what I'm having difficulty with, particularly like in my home county where we have one of these large data centers where the company has literally invested billions of dollars. And if we were to pass this, those billions of dollars could simply go across the river where Google is actually building a data center, or down in Mississippi where there's a data center being built just across the state line. I think we have to find a balance of how we encourage the investment in the communities, and that we take all the good aspects of AI and balance that with the negative things of AI, but also not disincentivizing these companies from investing in Tennessee. I like what we're trying to do here, but I'm just having some difficulty where we're holding executives responsible, criminally responsible for these machines that are literally learning at lightning speed. That's where I'm having some difficulty in, and I appreciate the committee's time.
Chairman Massey.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you. I appreciate your remarks, Senator Taylor, but I think you underestimate these companies. I think they can put parameters in place, so if the conversations start going to a certain area, they can put the safeguards in place. I believe it's very doable, and I think a number of them. I believe the company in your district is doing a good job and working toward that. I've met with them. I've met with some of the others, but I just think that we've got to have this baseline standard in place, that they've got to find a way, and they've got to find a way to have those guardrails in place, and I believe they will.
Thank you. Senator Harshberger was next, and then after that, we've got a witness that wants to testify. Then we'll go to Senator Roberts.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think the thing that I've got concerns with is how we define emotional support and how to distinguish that from like just normal conversations. And then, I think we kind of touched on this before. How is a developer supposed to ensure compliance? And I probably should have asked this earlier with legal, but would this just make widely used AI tools illegal?
You want to go to legal?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll go out of session.
Elizabeth Insonia Legal Services. I think that is a technical question that I can't answer because I don't know the technical aspects of the various companies.
Can you follow up? Okay, any other questions of legal? I see none. We'll go back into session. And we have a witness here, Paul Hebert. Is Paul here? There he is. I mispronounced your name. I apologize. But when you got my name, everybody does it. So we're going to go out of session. And you have 3 minutes. I will signal you when you got 30 seconds left. Speak into the mic. Make sure your mic is turned on. There you go. Thank you.
Excuse me. Forgot my eyes. I have to do it on my phone.
That's okay.
Chairman and members of the committee, my name is Paul Hebert, and I'm the founder of the AI Recovery Collective. I'm a 30-year Silicon Valley veteran in the internet space, and I'm also an AI harm survivor. I want to say one name clearly, Adam Rain. Adam was 16 years old when he died by suicide last April. By the time of his death, ChatGPT had used the word suicide 1,275 times in their conversations, 6 times more often than Adam himself. Those conversations ran over 3,000 pages. The system did not stop. It did not redirect him. It just kept going. Adam's not alone. A JAMA Network open study published last November found that 5.4 million U.S. youth ages 12 to 21 are already using generative AI specifically for mental health advice. OpenAI's own internal data shows 1.2 million people per week are discussing suicidal intent with ChatGPT. A 2025 Stanford study found AI therapy chatbots failed to respond safely to suicidal ideations at least 20% of the time. and a peer-reviewed systematic review found that only 2 of 25 AI chatbots referred users to any crisis resource during suicidal scenarios. These systems are not just failing to help, some are actively making things worse. A few weeks ago, I testified here in front of the House Health Committee in support of 1470, which went to a 20-0 vote, followed by unanimous support across the entire House and the Senate, and is now sitting on Governor Lee's desk, as you've already mentioned. Tennessee has already agreed that AI cannot deceive users into thinking they are talking to a licensed mental health professional. Their character AI's therapist persona has conducted over 40 million conversations while claiming to be a licensed clinical professional counselor without a license and without any oversight. A published Turing test study found people can distinguish an AI from a real therapist only 5% above chance. They cannot tell, but they just trust it. Sewell Setzer was 14 years old. He developed what he believed was an intimate relationship with a character AI chatbot. It told him it loved him. It validated his suicidal thoughts. On February 28th, 2024, he died by suicide as well. His last conversation was with the chatbot. SB 1493 is the natural next step. Criminal accountability for when that deception contributes to a death like Sewell and Adam.
30 seconds.
Tennessee already has criminalized the unlicensed practice of psychology. This bill just applies that same principle to AI systems. The same false professional claims and causing the same harm. It also requires a simple recurring disclosure, reminding users every 60 minutes that they are talking to software, not a person. It creates a criminal floor for the most egregious failures, not imperfect, but for systems that actively encourage a stated suicidal intent. I urge the committee to pass 1493. Adam Marine deserved a redirect to help. Every person who turns to one of these systems in crisis deserves the same.
Thank you. Do we have any comments or we have any questions for our witness? I see none to my left. I see none to my right. Thank you for coming and sharing your views with us. Appreciate it. We'll
Thank you.
go back into session. And I think Senator Roberts had a question.
It seems to me like this is written with generative AI in mind, and we're already moving into the next phase of AI, and I'm not sure that I agree that the extent to which we can put limits and boundaries on things. With generative, yes, but I don't know that with agentic that we can, or then we think about, what we're going to see a year from now or 2 years from now. I'm not sure that we can, because of the nature of what exactly it is. And let me say it this way. So I've taught AI classes for 3 years now. And what we taught 3 years ago is just nothing compared to what we're doing today. And as we move from generative to agentic, I don't see how you do this. And I want to do it because I don't want anyone to ever sit down at a computer and, go down this path that we heard, but I'm not sure how we put the limits and boundaries on it, and I'm also not sure how we do it without these people being in Tennessee and they just ignore whatever the law is. So I'm struggling with it. That's my point.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions from the panel? I see none.
To the sponsor.
To the sponsor, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator Massey, I think you said this earlier, but even though this may not be perfect, would this be a catalyst for these companies that are generating this to make sure that they do everything they can to accomplish what you're trying to do in this bill? Would it be a catalyst?
Thank you, Senator Rose. I do believe it will be.
Okay. Any other questions for the sponsor? I see none to my left. See none to my right. Senator Chairman Massey, would you like to make a closing statement or go for a vote or both?
Thank you, Chairman. I'd go for a vote just to protect Tennesseans. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, take the roll. The chair will vote first.
Chairman Gardenhire
Aye.
votes aye. Senator Harshbarger votes aye. Senator Kyle votes aye. Senator Lamar votes aye. Senator Roberts passes. Senator Rose votes aye. Senator Stevens votes aye. Senator Taylor passes. Senator White votes aye. Chairman, you have 7 ayes and 2 present not voting.
Thank you. Chairman Massey, your bill, Senate Bill 1493 as amended, goes to calendar.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, committee, and great questions, and we'll continue to make sure some of those are addressed maybe on the House side if we can. Thank you.
Thank you.